Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Drey Tinashe. If you don't know me, I am a new grad registered nurse that is working on the postpartum mother-baby L&D unit. So welcome. I am here today just to do a little Q&A. I do want to do a little shout out for all my new subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. I hope to continue to make quality content for you guys, but I'm so happy you're here, so welcome. So let's just jump right into it. This is just gonna be like a little chit chat session with you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy. So the first question I get from you guys is, what was my pathway into nursing, and what did I do to get into nursing school? So the first thing I did was I applied to the schools that I knew had a nursing program. So I wanted to be in an area that I wouldn't have to like move after undergraduate to another school. So that's why I chose the school I went to. I wanted to be surrounded by hospitals that would help me get into opportunities after school or during school that has medically focused opportunities or medically focused environment. So that was step one. And once I got into my preferred school, we did 2 years of undergraduate, which includes our science classes, math, social studies, all that like prerequisite stuff to get into nursing school. And then I did my TEAS exam during my second year, and that's when I was taking Anatomy 2, and I highly recommend doing it that way because you learn a lot of Anatomy 2 concepts, and that's a lot of the content like that is on the TEAS. So that's what I did. And then after that I passed, and there was a program at my school that had me already accepted to do the application process in high school, so that I was already accepted into nursing school. So all I had to do was just to pass my TEAS and to keep my GPA high. So that's what I was able to do. And then after 2 years, I started nursing school. So the next question you guys have for me was if it was hard to get into nursing school. So my personal opinion, it wasn't hard, but I do see how competitive it's getting and how more people want to get into nursing school. So I do think that if you want to get in and you want to make yourself as stand out as much as you can, is one, to get involved in a lot of extracurricular things that involve medical, health, different like nursing society type things, as well as have volunteer experience that would help your application, have like unique experiences, different stories to tell, your background, if you had like a nurse to nurse experience in your childhood or whatever, I don't know. But yeah, those kind of things I feel like can help your application be more competitive. The next question is, what was the most difficult thing about nursing school? I think my hardest thing was just being able to handle the heavy load of things, heavy load of classes, as well as managing my time between clinicals and labs, and being able to know what I was doing each day, how to study and keep track of each test. I feel like my second semester was definitely the hardest, just because it involved a lot of, it involved 2 classes that was in one class, and then it was just a lot of work. We had tests every single week. Yeah, and it was insane. I mean, I feel like I don't even want to think back to it because it was just so stressful. That was a year that they used to weed out students. So that is a thing. They do weed out students in my nursing program, and I'm sure in other nursing programs they weed out students. So that was definitely the hardest part. And I feel like another thing that was hard was just that I didn't have much autonomy on my own. We didn't have much free time to do much on our own. They basically wanted us to be doing nursing 24/7. So that was hard because you get to the point where you're just like overwhelmed with so much stuff because they just don't give you a break. But yeah, I think other than that, I mean, the nursing school was pretty hard for me, and I'm sure for other people they would also agree that it was pretty difficult, but I think it was more challenging, and I feel like the challenge was worth the reward. So yeah. Next question. How did I balance school and life? It was really hard to kind of balance, just because I had a calendar. I feel like that was the biggest thing. It's just, using a calendar and kind of scheduling your day and scheduling your week. But I also did take advantage of a lot of different events going on at school. I tried to stay involved with my university because I still wanted to be a part of like college, even though I was in a different like program. But yeah, so I try to do things on campus. I try to hang out with a lot of my friends and just have chill days to myself, chill moments. Like if there was a day that I was studying for like hours, or took a few moments out of that day to go outside and walk, go to the park. Spend time with nature is just a great de-stressor. Just breathing in fresh air, it's like it really de-stresses. Cooking and just making sure that I was taking care of myself first. I think that's the biggest thing, to make sure that you are able to balance school and work, school and life. And I did work. Okay, I don't know if you guys heard that, but I did work during nursing school. I did a nurse internship, which basically I was working PRN, and I was getting experience with nurses at my hospital, and also just being able to float around the hospital and see different patients, see different nursing skills and meet different people, and kind of just build that rapport. And I feel like that's the biggest thing that you can do in nursing school, is just get a job in a nursing field that you can do and work as a student. And they usually are pretty understanding if you're working during the school year, that they will basically let you do your own thing and just work as needed. So yeah, I feel like that was another thing that I really liked to do, because it gave you money and you're able to learn nursing and kind of study while you're in there, working those 12-hour shifts. So yeah. Okay, so my next question I get from you guys is why I wanted to go into L&D, and so why that specialty, and was it hard to get in? So I feel like I have always wanted to do L&D. That was the reason I became a nurse, was to get into women's health. So that's pretty much why. The reason, or how difficult it was pretty difficult for me. I don't know why, but I just had a very hard time getting and securing a job after graduating. And I noticed that some people had an easier time more than I did. And I don't know if it's because I didn't have that L&D experience during nursing school, or I think it must have been just experience that I didn't have. I feel like I had experience in everything but L&D. So it makes sense that I was having a hard time, but also it's not my fault. So I kind of like, I'm a new grad, and I feel like, I don't know. So I wouldn't say that, it's impossible to get in as a new graduate, but it definitely was pretty difficult. And I know I was applying myself pretty much since like the semester I graduated. I was applying to L&D jobs, and they were the first to go. I didn't realize how competitive it was to get into it. If you want to get into it, definitely apply yourself and make sure that you get some experience before you graduate. It doesn't have to be L&D. It could be like NICU, mother baby. You could be like a CNA on the floor. Just have some sort of experience, because they like to see that you have been in their setting, in their world, and know how their culture is. Question is, what advice I have for some of you guys. So the biggest thing I can say is just like what I said earlier, self-care. You have to take time for yourself, even though school doesn't really allow you to take that time. You have to allow yourself and give yourself that, and be intentional about it, because you might notice that you just get burnt out really quickly and get stressed out, and anxiety will build, and you just are like just not having it, and it's kind of affecting your grades, and your mental health is just going down the drain. So I would definitely say try and implement a self-care routine. Set aside one day out of the month to just protect your mental health. And my next thing for current nursing students is to get into a nurse internship. I feel like that's the best. I feel like that's the best way to secure a job after you graduate, and also just to get your foot into a door into a hospital, because that way you can use that onto your resume after you graduate to say, I was in a hospital doing nursing stuff outside of school. That can just add to your clinical experience, because you only get 5 weeks, and you kind of have to make your clinical experience your own, because there's so many students working along with you. So sometimes you don't get as much, you know, face-to-face, hands-on opportunities as you could. But when you're on your own and working as a nurse intern, you're kind of soaking up that knowledge and those opportunities, and applying that to nursing school when you get into clinicals and all that. So I feel like it's a good experience. With something like a float pool nurse and intern, you can kind of float around the hospital, especially if you don't know what specialty you want to get into. And nursing school is very limited as to what kind of specialties you see on the floor. If you're a float intern, you can kind of see throughout the hospital and see how different nursing jobs go and what might be your specialty going into it. So yeah. And then my last question is, what was the hardest part and what was my interview process like as a new grad? So the hardest part as a new grad was passing the NCLEX. But also it's pretty hard to like just transition and use that application process and critical thinking in the real world. Nursing school is completely different and they do not prepare us. I'm sure you guys have heard that they do not prepare us well enough, because I feel like there's so many things that they could have implemented into nursing that would have helped out a lot as a new grad in the nursing world. But yeah, we learn on the job, so that's just how it is. All of it's a learning process after you graduate. But my interview process was pretty informal. I had for Mother Baby, I had an informal interview, which was me shadowing a nurse for about 6 hours to see if Mother Baby is something I would want to go into, since I really want to get into L&D. But they wanted me to start there, and I'm perfectly okay with it because I feel like it will help me transition more smoothly into labor and delivery. So that's when I did the shadow, and then I also talked with the director about the culture there, and they kind of already were familiar with me because I was a nurse intern at that hospital. So I had kind of introduced myself and brought myself into the unit and talked with them, the charge nurses and all that, just to see if I can, and that's how I was able to like show my face, so they knew who I was. So I feel like that kind of put me into an advantage compared to someone who is new to the hospital and they don't know. They probably would have more of more of like a regular interview process. So I feel like with mine, it was informal, and I like that. But the other hospitals that I did interview with, it was a lot more formal and asking the general questions. I did have to cater my resume to each specialty I was interviewing for, which was L&D and ER. So the ER was my backup kind of plan B if I didn't get into L&D, since it was pretty hard to get into. I was a nurse extern in the ER and I loved it, and I feel like that was the best way to kind of get into the L&D unit, because you get that broad experience. You see moms that are coming in with labor pains or stomach pains or hyperemesis or preeclampsia symptoms. So you see stuff like that. You see newborn babies, young babies coming in. So it's just a really good foundational setting point, and the ER will forever be my home. And I feel like that was just the best experience I could have gave myself as a nursing student to start off at, to kind of help myself get to where I want to be. That's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope this helped you guys out a little bit. I hope this interview answered a few questions you guys have had about me and kind of learned a little bit about me as well. I would love to talk to you guys, so definitely in the comments below, let me know what specialty you guys are looking into, or any questions you guys might have about Mother Baby or labor and delivery or whatnot. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.
When I see potential, I just gotta see it through. If you had a twin, I would still choose